You do all weeks at once.
Okay.
Yay.
Okay, so we start with our names, right?
Yep.
Like we
Yes.
did last time.
Yeah.
So I'm Desiree, and state their name. That's all. Okay, I'm Desiree.
I'm Hannah, or Shanna, whichever it's listed as. I think it's Schneck now. So Schneck.
And I'm Emily Price. It says Holmes, but I just got married. So.
Yeah, when did you get married?
July 31st.
Congrats. I just got married in June.
Oh, it's awesome.
So, I ain't married.
That's okay.
These two sisters. Y'all did the readings and the videos?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So, and Emily already said that she read the talk. And so the first question is, what threats to children and families did Elder Holland mention? And how has Babylon influenced the development of the threats to children and families that you've chosen to address? So what threats did Elder Holland mention?
I have to go look through the talk now.
I think the first one he talked about was the one with the basketball player and checking our religion at the door, and how he said no true disciple of Christ can check their religion at the door, and
Yeah.
how I think a lot of times when we're put in those, he said when we're in peaceful times it's so easy to live our religion, but when we're under like unpeaceful times it's harder, to, like Peter, how he denied Christ 3 times. It's harder to like say, oh, I do believe in Jesus, things like that.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big one, is for us to be kind of like just swayed and deny what we really believe, or even forget what we believe when we're under pressure.
It reminded me of, I don't know what general conference or what talk it was from, but I know it was a lady giving it. She talked about how a lot of members are just like members on Sunday, so 1 out of 7, but you need to be like the same, you be convicted and stand for your beliefs at all times. Doesn't matter if it's Sunday or not. You need to be acting like you should. It's kind of like Sunday's the day where we do all of our church stuff, but
Yeah, I liked he gave an example when he was talking about checking at the door. He talked about Joseph Smith and Brigham Young and how they moved the saints and all that kind of stuff. And I think that's just a good example of the way that we should be, is that we shouldn't like stand being in Babylon. We should run away or seek to find like better shelter or stuff like that. So I thought that was a good example to kind of show us of someone to like obey and follow the commandments that God has given and stuff.
And any other threats then?
Well, then we talked about the 2 other examples, the one with the 30-year-old woman with like the crazy colored hair and all the piercings and tattoos stuff, and then modest clothes.
Yeah.
I don't really know what his point was with that. I don't remember.
Yeah, I think one of the big things he's talked about in that one was like how we don't judge according to the appearance, but we are commanded to judge righteously, like situations. And then also when we like talk with people about, our beliefs, where it might be a sensitive subject with them, like he says, always make sure that when we respond in any situation, it turns out better than how we found the situation, instead of, like, we could say words that can make the situation where the person feel unloved, you know,
Yeah.
sometimes.
Reminds me of the video that we watched.
The last example that he talked about was the couple, like the woman and the several men that were drinking and like doing drugs and just talking inappropriately
Hmm.
with like the children that were right there next to them. So I think just like being an example too is a big thing as well.
That one was so sad.
I know, seriously, it's so sad that people act like that in front of kids that don't know any better, you know?
No, I was just reading that a little bit ago, and when the kid got out of the bed and said, "Will you adopt me?" It was just like, what kid should think like that? Like have parents, but want someone else to be their parents because they're not loved and taken care of.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like how he
And
talked about too. He's like, in posing these three challenges, I intentionally did not use sensational cases of sexual transgression or physical violence or pornographic addiction, even though those might strike closer to home for some of you than the examples I have used. But you're smart enough to make unspoken applications. So I think
Mm-hmm.
that's good. It's like sometimes we hear too much, like not too much, like it's good to hear it, but they always talk about pornographic things and they always talk about being chased and all that kind of stuff, but it's nice to hear different examples, but you can still apply those same applications to doing those actions. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I
right.
completely agree because like some topics, like while they're important, they just get like drilled over and over and over again. They
Yeah,
kind of get
and then you almost like lose the meaning of it. You're like not doing any sort of thinking, you're just sort of listening to the topic. Whereas with stuff like this, you're able to identify like what he's actually trying to teach you and then apply it to things in your life, you know?
it's like a new way to look at it.
Yeah.
Hmm. Well, so what kinds of things what were we being taught, I guess, with the last example? The
Hmm. He said the last example was,
Was that use gospel values to benefit communities and countries?
I
mm,
think, yeah, use gospel values to benefit communities and countries. So I
oh
think
no.
he was like in Kansas City,
Mm-hmm.
like dedicating a temple or something like that, and that's what happened. So I think just because like there's not he was told it was going to be a tougher area because there wasn't a lot of members, but just because there aren't members in that area, the people that are members should be the example. Does that make sense? I
Hmm.
feel like that's what he's trying to say is like you're an example to the community and like the country. Just like my mom was telling me, her calling is service of like public affairs, so she works with other churches in our area back home, and she like proposed like she told them about the proclamation to the family, and cities are now like applying that to their like they frame them and put them in the city halls and stuff like that because they think that they're establishing values. Even though they don't know anything else about it, they're at least establishing values of the family.
Well, that's great. I think that's super cool because it always talks about how the family proclamation is to the whole world and not just to the members of the church, and you can see it right there being used.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Right. So something that I thought of that he mentioned was that well people sometimes have the mindset of why do you care if I live a certain way? Like when the man went into that person's home and everyone was doing those drugs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like they people can have the thought, why are you trying to impose your morals on me and trying to help these kids out? And I think a lot of people have the thought, um, like with gay marriage or with abortion and how we express our beliefs, right? And then they say, why do you care how I live my life?
Mm-hmm. Like
Right.
it's not infecting you.
Yeah, exactly. But then the thing is, like, in reality, it is affecting
Mm-hmm.
us, but and affecting the world. It's just that it's not seen so much as, you know, when that man goes into that home and sees what's happening with the children, and how the way that those parents are raising or putting those children in an environment like that affects the children in such a way like they could grow up not to be as effective um, people in society, like contributors to society. You know what I mean? And so it does affect everyone. And so just like the reality of voicing our beliefs and being involved in things that we do care about and things that we do have beliefs in, I think that's something that he was trying to also help us understand.
Yeah, I agree.
So, and then, okay, so should we move to the next question?
Yeah.
Okay. So, how does Elder Holland's description of Babylon and Israel coincide with defending the doctrine of the family in the latter days?
I feel like we've kind of already answered that too. Just like by defending the doctrine, you need to be an example, and like even though people aren't members of the church doesn't mean that they can't understand the values that you have or understand where you're coming from, not like on a religious base, but just for like the betterness of the family.
In my criminology class today, we talked about how like when people live in a bad neighborhood or a bad city, they don't try to fix it, they just move. And so like the city never gets better. And so it's kind of like, instead of just ignoring the problems and ignoring the stuff with the world, you need to try to fix things and not just like, oh, it's not my business, it's not what I need to worry about, it's not my problem, you know? But
Yeah.
you try to help change people for the better, not just
Right. Yeah, so I love what he said also about that in the beginning. He says, ever since the gospel and covenant keeping, covenant making has been on this earth, we've always, like Abraham ran, you know, had to leave or the Chaldeans and his family because his father's trying to kill him, you know, so he can go and live a righteous life with the rest of the covenant keepers. And how Joseph Smith and the pioneers needed to leave to go and establish a peaceful community, you know, and how like we've always been running away, and how he said we can't, like in the 21st century, there's nowhere to run anymore, you know.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, anyway, I just love what he said, because he's like, we need to learn how to live here and, like, I guess not, like, defend our homes, defend our beliefs and our family
it reminds me of
values.
like of the quote that's like, live in the world but not of the world. Like we're stuck here and we're gonna have to live like around these people, but it doesn't mean we can't
Yeah.
care
I think
about
that's
it.
why it's so important that you control like what's going into your home and what's going out of it, just because you can't control anything else. Like inside your home, it's all stuff that you control, and no one else can control that. So if you're like inviting the spirit and doing things that are uplifting, then that's going to be like a little oasis away from the world.
Yeah. Cool. So, what characteristics and attributes did Elder Holland expound on that will make you and us more effective family advocates?
I think we talked about charity, but yeah, like charitable services and stuff.
Yeah.
That's such a big one.
Yeah.
Did y'all have a chance to watch the video with the young man who came out to his father?
Yeah.
Did you have a chance to watch that, Emily?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I love what the older man said when he said that his son came out to him once, and he said, you just have to love them,
Mhm.
you know? And like with the charity thing, you have to love them first. Like we can't, whatever we say has to help the situation better. Like what Christ said when he was in situations, he always made it better. He didn't make it worse. Like, you know how sometimes like we want to share things and then like we feel worse after we share it because we
Mhm.
said it in a bad way, you know? I don't know. It's just like remembering that they first need to feel our love and Christ's love.
Yeah. I think like compassion is a huge part of
Mm-hmm.
that. Just kind of putting yourself in someone else's shoes. There's a reason why people act the way they act and why they do things. And I think a lot of times we're like, we get so offended by the way people act or what they do things, but we never put ourselves in their shoes and think what happened today that made them have that reaction or any of that kind of stuff. And I think in order to be compassionate, we have to do that. We have to put ourselves in their shoes and try to think of it as if it was us. What would we
Mhm.
do? How would we act? You know?
The
Mm-hmm.
golden rule.
The golden rule.
Yeah, that's the whole thing.
That's
True.
so true.
Any other characteristics or attributes y'all found?
I'm sure there's way more.
I'm sure there's way more.
I think just being responsible is one that he kind of talked about.
Mm. Like, what do you mean?
Like just being responsible for your own actions, realizing that you can't change anybody else's action, but you can be an example by being
Mhm.
responsible and controlling yourself.
Oh, yeah. How he said we should never compromise living the commandments.
Yeah, yeah,
Right. I remember. Yeah. Mm. Like, like when Christ with the woman in adultery who came
Mhm.
to him, and I think even Elder Holland gave a talk about this, how he never, he like never said that it was okay, that what she did was okay. Like, but he said, your sins are no, wait, is that what he said? Your sins are forgiven thee. And then he gives a charge to go and sin no more.
Mhm.
And how he never like said, it's okay that you did what you did. He never said that, but he said, you know, you can be forgiven and then now go and sin no more. And he did it so lovingly, but with boldness too. And he
yeah,
didn't compromise saying that it was okay. He didn't compromise the law.
right.
So, which is hard to do with a lot of love,
Mhm.
you know. I don't know how Christ does it. But and then according to what we learned from Holland's talk, what obligation do you have in a scenario like the one in the video, if any?
Mhm.
About the man who came to his father.
I feel like you don't need to accept what he's doing, but you need to love him. You need to not push him away. You need to handle it delicately and with love and not say, oh, you're making me sick to my stomach. I'm going to throw up, like all this stuff. That's
Yeah,
not
Mm-hmm.
family. And like, this is your choice. You can't do that. And you have to let them know that you don't approve of what they're doing, but don't do it in a mean way that will like, I don't know, either make them rebel and like want to do it more because you're telling them they can't. Um, but then like that other couple said, they talked about like there's a program, so you need to find out like if they do want to be that way, like if they want to be homosexual and be gay, or if they want to just, have the trial of being attracted to the same sex, which isn't a sin because it's only the sin if you act on it.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I think everyone is given different trials in their life, and who are we to decide that someone's trial is that they're attracted to the same sex? But we don't have to. I was a freshman in high school when Prop 8 was happening in Southern California, and it was just like a huge issue. And people are always like, why do you care so much? We just want to love each other. And I was like, well, it's not so much that I don't want you guys to love each other or whatever. It's just the matter of fact that it's not what's best for the world. And I think people felt like we were attacking them for wanting to feel loved, but we weren't necessarily attacking anybody, but we were just standing up for what we felt was right, just as they were standing up for what they
I
felt was
know
right.
it's kind of
But
like a double standard in the world, like, because they can do their gay pride parades and like their pro-abortion, pro-choice and all this stuff. But then when we do the same thing, like acting against that, we're the
yeah,
people wrong. Like we're all the bad guys when we're just doing the exact same thing that they are.
yeah. So I think just accepting them and saying that must be such a hard challenge. Like I can't even imagine like where, especially people in the gospel that come out with that kind of stuff. There's this guy that has a blog. I don't know if you guys have read it, but he has like come out that he's gay, but he's married and has like 4 children. Got married in
Oh
the
yeah,
temple
I
and all
think
that
I've
kind of
heard of
stuff.
that.
And I just I look at those people and I think that they understand the gospel more than anybody else because they have this huge struggle, but yet they trust God that what they're doing is right, so they're able to move past it. I can't even imagine.
Mhm. Yeah, I think yeah, I love what you said, both of y'all said. Um, Hannah, what you said reminded me of this one guy who uh, I used to read a lot, watch a lot of his videos and read his talks from one of my other classes about he's trying to promote the family and um, try to like stop the law from passing the same-sex marriage thing.
Mm-hmm.
And he was on a TV program and they were like attacking him,
Mm-hmm.
for just expressing his beliefs. And he was, and like while after they attacked him, he was like, he pointed it out to them of like, do you understand that they don't see that you're attacking me for expressing my beliefs,
Mm-hmm.
but I can't attack you for expressing your beliefs. And I'm not attacking you for expressing your beliefs, but you're attacking me for expressing mine, you know? And
Mm-hmm.
so, I don't know, just like understanding, being aware, I guess. I think an obligation we really have is just to be aware of kind of like how to articulate things and like understand what's happening like while something's happening. It was so cool what he did because he like was able to show them what they were doing right as it was happening. And
Yeah,
so
he
I
told
think an
me
obligation that we have is to like be more aware of what's happening and what people are doing in the world.
I agree.
I always forget what's happening while it's happening till later. That's a stress thing. But anyway, and then if you were a customer at the restaurant and observed the father-son exchange, what principles or attributes did Elder Holland teach that should guide your response?
I think it's just all of the things that we talked about, like being aware,
Compassion.
responsible, being loving, not really judging them, for what they're doing and not doing anything that Christ wouldn't do.
Yeah. I think I would tell the father to humble himself. I don't know. Humble
I think it's
yourself,
more
bruh.
like it's understandable because it was like the first time he was hearing about it, so he was shocked. All these like emotions were going through him, like he wasn't thinking about what he was saying really. He was just kind of in the moment
Mm-hmm.
and not like keeping his composure or anything. He was just kind of letting whatever he wanted to say spill out. And I don't know, it's an emotional time, but
Right.
some things you just shouldn't say, especially that loud in a public place.
Yeah. would have been one thing if like he had been talking to the dad about it. Like, and I feel like that's what's so important about family is that you develop these communication between like husband and wife, mother, father, and children. Because without that communication, your children aren't going to share things with you, and then they're
Mm-hmm.
just going to spring things on you like that, and you're not going to know how to react.
Right.
I
Yeah.
think that the dad also, like, he didn't let his son say anything. Like, that's all the son really got to say was, "Oh, I'm gay," and then he just went off on him. Like, he didn't give him the
Mm-hmm.
chance to say, "But I don't want to be," or like, "I want your love and support. I want your help," and like,
Mm-hmm.
he didn't give him time to kind of justify what he
Or
said.
listen to him.
Yeah.
Father didn't even like want to listen to his son right after he said that. He just
Hmm.
went off on his own. I think, yeah, if I were a customer, I'd be like, bro, you need to stop talking. You need to listen to your son. You know,
Hmm.
just listen to him. And so that's what I'd probably say. But anyway, any other comments?
I think we covered it all.
I think so too.
Okay, so then we're supposed to summarize what we talked about. Oh, the final 2 minutes, have a group member summarize the discussion. Okay.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
and we're supposed to post it.
Okay, I can post the actual link for the broadcast. I know we're supposed to post that too, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
So, in summary, I'll just start typing and y'all, let's talk. Okay, so in summary,
Okay.
we talked about um,
The
threat.
talk for Andrew Holland.
Yeah, we talked about the threats that he specifically listed those three stories and examples that he talked about.
Mm-hmm.
So the basketball example, the outrageous grooming and dress standards girl example, and
Mm-hmm.
then the children
Yeah.
bad environment example. And then we talked about like the lessons that went
Got
along
it.
with those,
Forgot.
like, bringing Christ and your environment, like all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, right, not checking our religion
Yeah,
at
that was
the
the
door.
first one. What was
Also, like we talked about the attributes that we want to have. So, like being responsible, compassionate, charity, love. All that stuff.
Right. Contribute.
we talked about putting yourself in like someone else's shoes
Yeah.
in order to like understand what they're going through and have that sympathy or empathy. I'm not sure which one it is. One's like when you know what they're going through. But
Yeah.
Right. Okay. And then what about making us more effective? Oh wait, we were doing that. Oh, our obligation to in the video for the father-son exchange.
um,
Obligation.
Talked about not judging, like showing compassion before we try to teach a lesson, I guess.
and
Right.
loving them no matter what,
Yeah.
not pushing them away.
Loving people first, always. Okay. Awesome.
I think that's good.
Anything else?
I think that's basically it.
Okay. Cool. All right. This is good.
After we finally figured out how to start a hangout.
Would you, Emily, would you be, are you free next, Emily and Hannah, are y'all free next week, same time?
Yep.
Yeah. So I'll make
Video.
the video thing.
Sweet.
If I forget, I'll just go to this one. So if you guys come to this one, then
Okay.
I'll remember and then we can start the new one
Okay,
again.
sounds good.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You
Yep.
too. See you next week.
Bye.
Y'all too.
Bye.